Welcome to the channel. This is Lack of Skill. We're playing Magic the Gathering Arena, and today is a great day. The Throne of Eldraine has been released for us. I was going to do games and create decks today, but first, let's go into this, and we are going to open some sealed packs, 50 of them, alright? So we got Garrock, Cursed Huntsman, it's the cosmetic, and we are going to get him. So, this one is create a 2/2 black and green wolf creature token. When this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garrock you control. -3, destroy target creature, draw a card. -6, you gain an emblem. With creatures you control, get +3/+3 and have trample. Well, this is real nice. It is sort of expensive at 6. You create 2. If it dies right away, you already have the 6, and then you can negative it, and then boom, you can get your emblem. Let's see what else we will get. Oh, let's claim it. 50 packs. Do open one at a time, so this will be a pretty long video. We're gonna get a bunch of our rare wild cards, a couple of mythics most likely, and a bunch of commons. Right now we already got a common and uncommon. So we got Spinning Wheel, Fierce Witch Stalker, which is nice because I want to do another wolf deck. Tomb Raider, which is a fairy, which is nice. Spore Cap Spider, not too great. Red Cap Raiders is a warrior, 3 for 3/2. Let's see what our good card is. Oh, mythic. Alright, mythic wild card, that's nice. Actually get to create whatever card we want. Oh, why are you lagging so bad? Alright, boom, one extra Elite Headhunter, a 4 for 2/3. Giant Beanstalk. This is one of the adventure cards. It's 6 with a 0/0. Beanstalk power, toughness equal to the number of lands you control. That could be alright. Watchswain Paladin. It's a Knight Menace, 3/2. Queen of Ice, another adventure card. Opt. We do get another Opt, so scry 1, draw a card. Another adventure card. Garen Brig Carver. That's how you... Garen Brig. Roving Keeps, 7 for a 5/7. Tap 7 and gets +2/+0 and gains trample until the end of turn. It can attack this turn as though it didn't have a defender. Alright, let's see what our good card is. Worthy Knight. Whenever you cast a Knight spell, create a 1/1 human creature token. That's a nice card. Start going wide fairly quick. Turn 3, you could easily start making tokens. Okay, let's look at what we got. Animating Fairy. Another fairy for my fairy deck that I want to play or create. Claim the Firstborn. Gain control of target creature with converted mana 3 or less until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Alright. Blow the House Down. Sorcery, up to 3 target creatures can't block this turn. Destroy any of them that are walls. Okay, here's one of the lands. Idyllic Grange. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other planes. When Idyllic enters the battlefield untapped, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Adds a mana. These are nice. Let's see what we got. Gingerbread Cabin, land, forest. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you have 3 or more forests. Gingerbread Cabin enters the battlefield untapped to create a food token. This is going to be great for my green food token deck. Merchant of the Veil, just an adventure card. See our good one. Midnight Clock. For 3, you get to add 1 mana, a blue, 2 and a blue. Put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. At the beginning of each upkeep, put an hour counter on Midnight Clock. When the 12th hour counter is put on Midnight Clock, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library. Then draw 7 cards, exile this. That's a pretty good card for some of those blue decks. I don't really care for blue decks. Alright, Clockwork Servant. When Servant enters the battlefield, if at least 3 mana were spent in the same color, to cast it, draw a card. Adventure. Foulmire Knight. Death Touch, 1/1 Death Touch. Or you can pay the 3 and you draw a card and lose 1 life. Corridor Monitor. When Corridor Monitor enters the battlefield, untap target artifact or creature you control. There's going to be some combat tricks with this one. Knight of the Keep, just Steel Gaze Griffin, flying, gets 2/2 until the end of turn on your second draw of a card. This is a defender, Morpho. You pay 1 and a blue and it loses defender and it becomes a human until the end of turn. Forbidden Fruit, sorcery, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. If at least 3 black mana were spent to this spell, create a food token. This is the card I really wanted. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Piper of the Swarm. Rats you control have menace. 1 and a black and tap this. Create a 1/1 black rat creature token. 2 and 2, so 4, and tap it. Sacrifice 3 rats. Gain control of target creature. So if you get this out fairly early and start pumping out rats, and you have other things that you can keep this thing alive with, this can actually start doing crazy. Ah, well, look at this. This comes out the next turn. You create a rat, and if you're playing blue-black and you have Corridor Monitor, it enters the battlefield. You could untap this. Just a thought. 46 more decks or packs to go. Another Witching, Fire Rosethorn Hybrid, Halberd. It's equipment, artifact. Outflank. Outflank deals damage to target attacking or blocking creature equal to the number of creatures you control. Brimstone Trebuchet, Defender Reach. Alright, it's a 1/3 for 3. Tap it. Trebuchet deals 1 damage. Nah, not so great. Fairy Guild Mother, flying 1/1. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains flying until the end of turn. Epic Downfall, exile target creature with converted mana 3 or less. Two spell to get rid of a possible 5, I guess. That's not bad. Midnight Clockwork, we just already had that one, alright. Sir Alan the Lion Claw, first strike, 5, 3 and 2 white for 4/4. Sir Alan the Lion Claw attacks other creatures you control, get +1/+1 till the end of turn. Flutter Fox, a 2 for 2/2. As long as you control an artifact or enchantment, gains flying. Idyllic Grange, we've already seen that one. Lonesome Unicorn has vigilance, 5 for 3/3, or 3 for the Sorcery Adventure. Create a 2/2 Night creature token with vigilance. Just talked about that. Witching Well. Let's see what we get. Fires of Invention. When you cast a spell, you can only cast spells only during your turn, and you can only cast no more than 2 spells each turn. You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana cost. Okay, that's a decent card for a burn deck. Okay, alright, I think we already have our 4 copies of that. All That Glitters is Aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets 1/1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment. So this is going to go into your enchantments and artifact decks. Guaranteed. Glass Casket. Glass accident enters the battlefield. Exile target creature and opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or less until Glass Casket leaves the battlefield. Red Cap Raider. Whenever Red Cap Raider attacks, you may tap and untap non-human creature you control. If you do, Red Cap Raider gains +1/+1 and gains trample till the end of turn. Lash of Thorns. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. Thrill of Possibilities. As an additional cost to this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. We already talked about that one. Let's see. What is that? Erin Craig Fate. For 4, you can add 7 mountains. You can cast only one more spell this turn. So you cast that and you get 7 mana. You better have a good card to throw out. I see possibilities. I've looked at all the cards. So we got another. We're working on our epic. 12 more packs. Next rare. 6 more packs until the next mythic. Alright. Skullknocker Orge. Deals damage to an opponent. That player discards a card at random. If the player does, let's see. Whenever Skullknocker Orge deals damage to an opponent, that player discards a card at random. If the player does, they draw a card, so they don't really lose anything. Well, they could lose a good card. Slaying Fire 3 instant. Slaying Fire deals 3 damage to any target. Remember, if at least 3 red mana was spent to cast this spell, it deals 4 damage instead. So 3 for 4 damage. Got another one of those. Eye Collector Fairy. Playing when Eye Collector deals combat damage to a player, each player puts the top card of their library into their graveyard. There's a little trick to this card. If we get that card, Merrileaf Rider. It's a knight, a green knight. Sacrifice a food, target creature blocks Merrileaf Raider this turn if able. So this is basically a kill spell. Merchant of the Veil, we just talked about that one. So Tiny Flash enchantment. Enchantment creature. Enchanted creature gets -2, -0. It gets -6, -0 instead, as long as its controller has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. Oh, I didn't. Sorry about that. Maybe we'll get it again. Alright, we just talked about that one. Lich Dragon. For the Izzix. Flying, whenever Lock Dragon enters the battlefield or attacks, you may discard a card. If you do so, draw a card. Let's see. But for 4, you can put 2 1/1 counters on target creatures. For 6, you get a 6/5. Dwarven Mine is the mountain land card. Dwarven Mine enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other mountains. When Dwarven Mine enters the battlefield, untapped creature, a 1/1 red dwarf creature token. Enters the battlefield. I can't even read. When Dwarven Mine enters the battlefield, untapped, create a 1/1 red dwarf creature token. Adds 1 mana. Alright. Reeve Soul. Destroy target creature with power 3 or less. I think we had that one. Unexplained Vision. Draw 3 cards, and if you cast this card with 3 blue mana, it was spent to cast this one, you scry 3. And you get the draw 3. Scorching Dragon. Fire. 2 instant. Scorching deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. Charming Prince. Alright, for 2, you get a 2/2. When Charming Prince enters the battlefield, choose 1, scry 2, you gain 3 life, exile another target creature you own, return it to the battlefield under your control at the beginning of the next end step. So it has to wait a whole turn before it comes back. Alright. Let's open this Stone Coil Serpent, artifacts, creature snake, reach, tramp, protection from multicolor sorcery, enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters, cost X. 4 black or 4 red. Menace, you could pump it for 3, sacrifice another creature or artifact. Elite Headhunter deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Mantle of Tides, equipped creature gets a +1/+2 when you draw your second card. Attach. Whenever you draw your second card, each turn attach Mantle to Tides to target creature you control. So, you have this out, and you draw 2 cards, you can attach it without paying the 3. Fortifying provisions, create creatures you control get +1/+0. When fortified provisions enter the battlefield, create a food token. Steel Gaze Griffin, I think we talked about that one. Yes. Tempting Witch, when Tempting Witch enters the battlefield, create a food token. 2 mana and tap, sacrifice a food token, target player loses 3 life. So you can either gain 3 life from that food token, or you can make your opponent lose 3 life. Alright, we got all those. Keeper of Fables, whenever 1 or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Sir Farron, the Hinge Hammer. When Sir Farron attacks, another target attacking creature gets X+X until end of turn. X is Sir Farron's power. It's only a 2, so they're going to just gain 2+2. So if you have a nice creature, that's good. Red Cap Raider, we talked about that. Charmed Sleep, enchanted creature. When Charmed Sleep enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature does not untap during its controller's untap phase. And target creature gets +2/+2 until the end of turn. Each attacking non-human creature gains trample until end of turn. Blood Haze, Wolverine, 2 for 2/1. Whenever you draw your second card, he gets a +1/+1 and gains first strike. We got an adventure card, Malfolk Secret Keeper. It's a wizard. It's a 1 for 0/4. You can pay the 1. Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard. So you will do the adventure first. Start milling though. Giant Killer. A 1 for a 1/2, or you could tap 2, tap target creature, or you can play 3, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Spinning Wheel, add 1 mana of any color to 5 and tap target creature. Cauldron Familiar. When Cauldron Familiar enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Sacrifice a food token, return Cauldron Familiar from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you have a lot of a black food deck, you be able to keep that out all the time, a blocker at all times. Garen Brigg Squire. Whenever you cast a creature spell that has an adventure, Garen Brigg Squire gets a +1/+1 until end of turn. It's not a permanent stay. Hinge Walker, and then if you cast a 3, you get to put a 1/1 counter on, so you'll be a 3/3. Golden Egg 2, when Golden Egg enters the battlefield, draw a card. You can sacrifice Golden Egg, add 1 mana to any color. 2, then sacrifice, you gain 3 life. So this is basically a food token that you're... didn't we get this one? No. Raging Red Cap is a 3 for a 1/2 double strike. Beloved Princess, lifelink, a 1/1/1/1. Lifelink Beloved Princess can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. The Great Hedge, 7/+2. This spell costs X less, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. You tap it, add 2 2 mana, add, and you gain 2 life. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it and draw a card. This is a very nice card for your big green decks. It will be going into my big green deck. Sir Karen the Bold. When Kareth the Bold instant or swift spell you control deals damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. You may pay it. Alright, Shepherd of the Flock. 2 for 3/1. Return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. Mara Leaf Rider. We talked about that. We talked about that one. That's nothing. We got that one already. And we got another one. So that's... Make sure it comes out in your deck. If you put 2, should come out. We just got a mythic. Sir Eleanor, the Discerning. Power equal to the number of cards in your hand. So she could, if you have a unlimited hand. If you have an unlimited card hand, this could actually get fairly big if you can keep the cards. We already talked about Hinge Hammer, Addervale Tactician, 3 for a 2/3 flyer, or you could cast the 2 and tap up to 2 target creatures. Beloved Princess. Shining Armor is 2, 1 and 1 white. Flash, when Shining Armor enters the battlefield, attached to target knight you control. Equipped creature gets +0/+2 and has vigilance. Youthful Knight, same cost as Shining Armor. Has first strike and +2/+1. Or has first strike and it's a 2/1. Return to nature, choose 1, destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, exile target card from a graveyard. We've already talked about this one. We've only got 1 of the cards that I want so far. Now I want 4 of them. Claim the Firstborn. I think we've talked about that. Order of Midnight Flying Knight. Human Knight is a 2/2 for 2. Can't block. Or 2, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So you would, if it might be doing the return. We talked about that one. Youthful Knight just had. Crystal Slipper, equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste. Giant Skewer, equipped creature gets +2/+1. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a creature, create a food token. Yeah, 3. Equipped it. Garenbridge Paladin, Didment, 3 were to cast a spell, put a 1/1 counter, can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So he's going to be a 5/5 for 5. Castle Garenbrig, it's a land, okay. Castle Garenbrig enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest. Only 1 forest, alright, you get it. You can get tap it, adds 1 forest. 2 and 2 forest. So you're paying 4, tap this, so 5 mana, add 6. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of creatures. So this comes out, boom, you get 5 mana, you get 6 to cast a creature. Not bad. Okay. Searing Fire does the 4 damage. No good. Moonlit Scavenger, 5 plus a blue. When Moonlit Scavenger enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact or enchantment, return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. Eye Collector, we talked about. Beloved Princess, we talked. Ginger Brute, artifact creature, food golem, haste. 1, gingerbread can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. 2 and tap, sacrifice Brute, you gain 3 life, so it's a food token. Gadwick the Wizened, X plus 3 blue. When Gadwick the Wizened enters the battlefield, draw X cards. Whenever you cast a blue spell, tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Turn into a pumpkin, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, draw a card, at least 3 blue mana was spent. This spell, create a food token. I'll do this one. The Magic Mirror, 6+3 blue legendary artifact. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each instant or sorcery spell card in your graveyard. You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a knowledge counter on Magic Mirror. Then draw a card on each knowledge counter on the Magic Mirror. So the first time it comes out, you put a you draw. You just get no maximum hand size. Then the next time you put a knowledge counter and you draw 1 card, then 2, then 3, then 4, and it keeps going. So this is a mill deck for yourself. Trail of Crumbs. When Trail of Crumbs enters the battlefield, create a food token. Whenever you sacrifice a food token, you may pay 1. If you do, look at the top 2 cards of your library. You may reveal a permanent card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Lost Legion, 3 for a 2/3. When Lost Legion enters the battlefield, scry. It's a Spirit Knight. Gargoyle. Lochthwain Gargoyle. Tap 4, gets +2. We've talked about that. Human Warlock, we had that. The Tipting Witch. Get 4 of these and you'll actually have 4 food tokens. Rimrock Knight, so we got a Dwarf Knight. Rimrock Knight can't be blocked. An adventure, target creature gets 2 + 0 until end of turn. Alright, Magic Mirror. It's going to be a longer video. Sorry about that. Order of Midnight we've talked about, I do believe. Flying 2 for 2, yes. Venerable Knight. When Venerable Knight dies, put a 1/1 counter on target knight you control. It's a 1 for 2/1. So that's not too bad. Gingerbread Cabin, we talked about. Dwarven Mine, we've talked about. Out Muscle. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, then it fights target creature you don't control. If 3 green mana was cast, the creature you control gains indestructible until the end of turn. So, for 4, you get a +1/+1 counter. Crashing Drawbridge, Defender, tap it. Creatures you control gain haste till end of turn. Curious Pair, it's a 1/2/1/3. I'm sorry, God, it's a 1 in green, and then it gets you a 1/3. Or you could do the 1 spell and create a food token. Let's see what we get right here. Questing Beast. It's a 2 green, Vigilance, Death Touch, and Haste. Questing Beast can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Combat damage that would be dealt by creatures you control can't be prevented, so no more prevent damage spells if you have this out. Whenever Questing Beast deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target planeswalker that player controls. So 4 mana for a 4/4. That's a lot of 4s. So this will be going into my big deck, big green deck. Alright, let's go into the next one. Red Cat Melee, or Melee, however you want to call it. It doesn't bother me. For 1, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If a non-red permanent is dealt damage this way, you sacrifice a land. If a non-red permanent is dealt damage this way, you sacrifice. So if you're fighting a red versus red deck, you don't sacrifice the land. Sorcerer's Broom, 2 for a 2/1. Whenever you sacrifice another permanent, you may pay 3. If you do, create a token that's a copy of Sorcerer's Broom. There is a little trick thing. You keep sacrificing food tokens, and boom, you start having a broom closet. Wildwood Tracker. Elf Warrior. Whenever a Wild Wolf Tracker enters or attacks or blocks, if you control another non-human creature, Wildwood Tracker gets +1/+1 till the end of turn. Merchant of the Veil we talked about. Fierce Witch Doctor. Yes, another one of these for my wolf deck. Smitten Sword Master. 1 and 1 black for a 2/1 lifelink. Or you do Curie Favor for a 1, you gain X life, and each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of knights you control. Perfect for a red-black or black-white knight deck, replacing the vampires, more or less, and you throw out this, and you have a bunch of knights. And if you have 3 of these in your hand, you could possibly kill your opponent. Syrian Barrage, 4 and a red. Syrian Barrage deals 5 damage to target creature. 3 were spent, all red. Deals 3 damage to that creature's controller. So you kill a creature and you hit him, ping him for 3. That's not that bad, I don't think. Dance of the Mass Mains. An X and a white and a blue. Return up to X target artifacts and or non-aura enchantment cards, each with converted mana cost X or less, from your graveyard to the battlefield. If X is 6 or more, those permanents are a 4/4 creature in addition to their other types. So at 8 mana you throw this down and you got, who knows, you know, anything. Like if your Broom was in there, he would come back, or because this set is filled with enchantments and artifacts, so that would be a nice card to have in an enchantment artifact deck. Got another rare card, wild card. Mysterious Pathfinder, flying 2 and a white, gets you a 2/2 flying. Each creature you control that has adventure enter the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. So you need 1/1 counters on them before. Archon the Absolution, flying protection from white, so hate against their own color. Creates target creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. So if you have 4 of these, they have to pay 4 to attack each creature. We talked about that one. Ember Breath Paladin, Human Knight. Did we talk about this one? 4/4/4/1. At least puts a 1/1 counter, so he's a 5/2. I wouldn't do that one. Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider. 2 and a blue, get you a 1/1 flying. When Tomb Raider enters the battlefield, draw a card. Charmed Sleep we talked about. Rimrock Knight we've talked about. Lockmere Serpent, a 4 plus a blue and a black. Flash, so 6 mana for a 7/7 flash. Blue, sacrifice an island. Lockmere Serpent can't be blocked this turn. Sacrifice a swamp. You gain 1 life and draw a card. Or a blue and a black, exile 5 target cards from an opponent graveyard. Return Lockmere Serpent from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only during your turn. I guarantee that. Only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Alright? 30 more decks, or 30 more packs. Hopefully this allows me to make my deck. Once and future, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Put up to 1 target card from your graveyard on top of your library. Exile once upon it, and at least 3 were spent to cast a spell. Instead, return those cards to your hand and exile it. Flaxen Intruder. 1. Whenever Flaxen Intruder deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, destroy target artifact or enchantment, or you pay 7, 5 and 2 green, create 3 2/2 bear creature tokens. Malevolent Noble. 2, sacrifice an artifact or another creature. Put a 1/1 counter on Malevolent Noble. 2 for 2/2. We talked about that. Wolf's Quarry. 4 and 2 green. Create 3 1/1 rainbow creature tokens with, when this creature dies, create a food token. So 3, and you'll gain technically 9 life, 3 blockers for 6. I don't know about that one. Aberrant Tactician, 3. We've talked about that one. Fate of Wishes. A 2 for a 1/4 flying. 2, discard 2 cards. Return Fairy of Wishes to the owner's hand. Or if you pay 4 sorcery adventure, you may choose a non-creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So it's a blue Mastermind Acquisition. I love Mastermind Acquisition. Alright, Shine Chaser, 1 white and a blue, gets you a 1/1 flying vigilance. It gets 1/1 for as long as you control artifact or enchantment. So you own, for 3, you get a 3/3 flyer. Man on Tides, so tiny we talked about. Ventress Paladin, Human Knight, flying for 4. If you it comes in with a 1/1 counter on it. So for 4, you get a 3/3 flyer if you play all blue mana, or at least 3. We talked about that. Tomb Raider, we just talked about that one. Storm Fist Crusader, a black and a red menace, Human Knight. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card and loses 1 life. So you need to make sure you swing in with this, and it hits once, so you'll be over the life loss curve of your opponent. Mysterious Pathlighter, additional, and we just talked about that. Giant Opportunity Sorcerer. You may sacrifice 2 foods. If you do, create a 7/7 green giant creature token. Otherwise, create 3 food tokens. So this will be going into the food token deck. We talked about that one. Thrill the Possibilities. Fell of the Pheasant. Fell of the Pheasant deals 5 damage to target creature with flying. Create a food token. Roving Keep, we talked about that one. Out Muscle, we've talked about. And we get a rare wild color. Return to the Pumpkin. Owner's Hand, yes. Sir Conrad the Grim. 3 and 2 black. Whenever this is another going into my black deck. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. 1 and 1 black, each player puts the top card of their library into the graveyard. Boom. Just pinging them all the time. Wicked Guardian, a 3/1. Human Noble. Whenever Wicked Guardian enters the battlefield, you may have it deal 2 damage to another creature you control. If you do so, draw a card. Ping your own creatures and gain a card. Lonesome Unicorn, Forbidden Fruit. Wishful Merfolk, I think. Did we get this one? A 2 plus a 1 and a blue gets you a 3/2. Defender, 1 and 2 Wishful Morlock, yeah, until it comes to human. Trust the Magic Mirror, we've talked about. Clockwork Servant, we've talked about that. Outflank, Wicked Guardian, we just had that one too. Barge in, and we've talked about that. Ventress Gargoyle, 2, and it gets you 2 mana for 5/4. Flying. Ventress Gargoyle can't attack unless defending player has 7 or more cards in their graveyard. Venture Gargoyle can't block unless you have 4 or more cards in hand. Tap it, each player puts the top card of their library into the graveyard. So you can start getting this to where they'll have the cards in their graveyard on turn 3. We just talked about that one. Festive Funeral. Target creature gets XX until the end of turn. It's X the number of cards in your graveyard. Shining Armor, we've talked about. Org Errant. Whenever Org Errant attacks, another target attacking knight gains menace until the end of turn. Talked about that. Eye Collector. Iron Crag Pyromancer. Wizard. Whenever you draw your second card, each turn deals 3 damage to any target. Righteousness, 1 white. Target blocking creature gets 7/7 until the end of turn at instant speed. All that glitters, shining armor, beloved princess. Weapon rack. This is the one I do want in some of my decks. That's 4. Artifact weapon rack enters the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters on it. Tap it, remove a 1/1 counter from weapon rack onto target creature. Activate this the only time you can cast a sorcery. If you have a proliferate deck, you can start adding those 1/1 counters on it back. So barge in. We've just talked about that one. It gives you the 7 mana. Bog Naughty. 3 and 2 gets you 3/3 flying. 2 and 3 sacrifice food. Target creature gets -3 until the turn. Double strike. 4 for a 2/3. Gains +1 until end of the turn. Talk about that one. Weaselback Redcap. I don't think we got that. Goblin Knight. Plus do a 1/1 red. Gains +2/+0 till end of turn. We just talked about this one. Gains flying. Ice Queen. Whenever Ice Queen deals combat damage to a creature, tap that creature. It doesn't untap. I think we did get this one when we opened all the decks. Thorbrain Thane of Red Fell is a 4, so 1 and 3 red. If a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2. So a lightning strike now, or a shock, is a 4 spell. 4 damage for. So that starts getting rid of things quick at turn 4. Epic Downfall, Exile, Arcanist Owl. Do believe we talked about that. We just talked about the Weasel. There's the Gargoyle Outflank. Barge in. And we got a Mythic Wild. I knew the first few decks or packs that we opened would be crazy because we'd be talking a lot. Grimly the Gracious, 1 and 3, 1 red and green, gets you a 3/3. Each other non-human creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. So you already have to have creatures that are coming in with a 1/1 counter on them, and then it gets that extra 1/1 counter. Drover Keep, Emberbreath Paladin, Mantle of Tides, Rosethorn Acolyte. Add 1 mana to any color. That's at 3. Or you pay the 1. You pay 1, and then you get to add 1 of any color. So, we've talked about that one. Bognati, Gargoyle, Youthful Knight, Op, Forbidden Fruit, Tomb Raider. What is that? Hushbringer. A 1 and a white gets you a 1/2 flying lifelink. Creatures enter the battlefield. Creatures entering the battlefield or dying don't cause abilities to trigger. A lot of the Explorer creatures are going out, so it doesn't really matter. Got another Mythic. Let's see, Bognati. Covetous Urge. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card from that player's graveyard or hand and exile it. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast a spell. Insanity Thief, but for 4. Sorcery. Prize Griffin, flying, 5 for a 3/4. Fling, a 1 and a red. The instant, as an additional cost of this spell, sacrifice creature. Fling deals damage equal to the sacrifice creature's power to any target. Memory Thief, a 2 plus a black. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That target player discards that card. You may put a card that has an adventure that player owns from exile into the player's graveyard. So you can get rid of 2 cards if you're playing against a person with adventure cards. Thrill of Possibilities, we've talked about that one. Fate of Wishes, 2, flying, discard 2, we had that. Kenrith Transformation, enchant creature. When Kenrith enters the battlefield, draw a card. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk creature with base power of 3/3 toughness. Cauldron's Gift, of 4 and a black. If 3 black were used to cast a spell, put the top 4 cards of your library into the graveyard. You may choose a creature card in your graveyard. If you do, return it to the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. 7 Dwarves. This is a card that I do want to build in a red deck. 2. 1 in a red. 7 Dwarves get +1/+1 for each other creature named 7 Dwarves you control. A deck can have up to 7 cards named 7 Dwarves. Borrow of Witches, 4 and a black. 3/4 creature. Human Warlock enters the battlefield. Return target night card from your graveyard to your hand. Barge in. We talked about the Wolverine. We talked about the Squire. Happily Ever After is a 2 and a white enchantment. When Happily Ever After enters the battlefield, each player gains 5 life and draws a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 colors among permanents you control, there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control, and or cards in your graveyard, and your life total is greater than or equal to the starting life total, you win the game. So, you have to have 5 colors among permanents you control, and there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control. So you have to have an enchantment, artifact, a creature, a planeswalker, a land, and equipment. I think that would be 6 or more card types among equipment you control, and or cards in your graveyard. So one of those cards or 2 of those cards could be in the graveyard, and your life total has to be, so at turn 3, drop this out and you could possibly win the game. For in turn, what you have to have at least turn 5 to have 1 of each color out. Granted, lands don't count as a color, but you could have 5 1 mana spells or creatures out. Embrace Shieldbreaker, 2 for 2/1, destroy target artifact. Joust as a 1/2 sorcery, target creature you control and target creature you don't control. That creature you control gets +2/+1 until end of turn. If it's a knight, then that creature fights each other. 7 dwarves. So we got 2 of the 7 dwarves. Curious Pair, Opt. We talked about that one. Fires of Invention. Yeah, we've talked about that. Overwhelmed Apprentice. When Overwhelmed Apprentice is out of battlefield, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. You scry 2. Merryleaf Pixie. That's a fairy. Green blue 2/2 flying. Gets an add. So here's a 2 for mana ramp. Witching Well. Witching Well enters the battlefield. Scry 2. Sacrifice. Draw 2 cards. Tall as a beanstalk. Enchant creature. Enchant creature gets a 3/3, has reach, and is a giant in addition to its other type. True Love's Kiss. 2 and 2 white. Exile target artifact or enchantment. Draw a card. We've talked about that. Wicked Guardian. We're getting I think that's our 4th one of those. Robin of the Rich. Robber of the Rich. It's a 2. 1 red, 1 colorless. Gets 2/2 reach and haste. When Robber of the Rich attacks, if defending player has more cards in hand than you, exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attack with a rogue, you may cast that card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. So I thought, Insanity Thief? But you need to have a way that this can get through, or other rogues. Alright, let's get into the next pack. Bolt Dragon, we've talked about. Slaying Fire, Outflank, Lockwing Paladin, Menace. Enters the battlefield with a 1/1 card. Syrian Barrage. Reaper of the Night, 5 and 2, so a 7. When enters the Knight attacks, if defending player has 2 or fewer cards, yes. Gains flying, yes, that's right. Acclaimed Contender, 2 and a white, gives you a 3/3. When Acclaimed enters the battlefield, if you control another knight, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a knight, aura, enchantment, or legendary artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. That's nice for your knight decks. As long as you don't have 5 nice cards coming out. Just had that one. Charm Sleep, talked about. Wolf's Quarry. 3 to add a mana, we've talked about that. Once Upon a Time. If this spell is the first spell you cast this game, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest of them in the bottom of your library in a random order. Shambling Suit, Artifacts, and Inquisitive Puppet. Yes, we've talked about that one. Bartered Cow, 3 plus a white, gives you 3/3 when Bartered Cow dies, or when you discard it, create a food token. Talked about that one. Signpost Scarecrow, 4 for a 2/4 Vigilance, 2, add 1 mana of any color. We're Lonesome Unicorn, we've talked about. Folio of Fancies, a 2, a 1 and a blue. Players have no maximum hand side. Players, so that means your opponent also. X plus X and tap. Each player draws X cards. A 2 and a blue. Tap. Each opponent puts a number of cards equal to the number of cards in their hand from the top of their library into their graveyard. This is a perfect meal deck. So you start trying to grab all your cards, then mill yourself, actually. 12 more packs to go. I know this is a long video. Rampant Smasher. Rampant Smasher can't be blocked by knights or walls. So, Rally of the Throne 2. Create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens. Gain 1 life for each creature you control. If you pay 3 white for that card. Talked about that one. Garen Bridge Paladin. Return. Shining Armor. Lochthwain Paladin. Acclaimed Contender. We just talked about that one. Deathless Knight. Haste. When you gain life for the first time each turn, return Deathless Knight from your graveyard to your hand. So, Deafening Silence. Each player can't cast more than 1 non-creature spell each turn. Shuts down some of the, what do you call it? Counter decks. We've talked about this one. Reaper of the Night, yes. Ballard Witches, Nova. Yep, let's see what we get in here. Wildborn Preserver. It's a 1/2. It's a 2/2. Flash Reach. Whenever another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X 1/1 counters on Wildborn Preserver. So this is very nice for a green weenie deck. Put these guys in here. Even if you had this one and another one came out next turn, you'd be able to put, and you had another land, you'd be able to put another land out, throw this out. This one could get a 3/3, and then your other one would be a 2/2. But you're going to probably run 2 copies at least of that in your deck. Pathlighter, Enchanted Carriage, Crew. When Enchanted Carriage enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white mouse token creatures. That's not a rat. If it said rat, it'd be even better. It's a 5 for 4/4 and Crew 2, so you have to use those 2 mice to make this swing. Opt. Talked about that one. Tall as a Beanstalk, Witching Well, Brimstone Trebuchet. And this one, got a rare wild card. Serum the Grim, nice. Bartered Cow. Put 2 1/1 counters on it for 4. Ice Queen we've talked about. We talked about the Tactician. Open it up. There we go. Brazen Borrower. A 1 and 2. Blue. Flash Flying. Only can be blocked with creatures. Can block only creatures with flying. Or you pay the Petty Thief. Return target non-land permanent opponent controls their owner's hand. Red Cap Witch's Oven. Sacrifice a creature. Create a food token. If a sacrificed creature's toughness was 4 or greater, create 2 food tokens instead. Sacrifice a creature. Okay. Prophet of the Pack. Prophet of the Pack enters the battlefield. Scry 2 for. That's expensive. Youthful Knight. Secret Keeper. We talked about that. Magic Mirror. Thunderous Snapper. 4. Whenever you cast a spell with converted mana cost 5 or greater, draw a card. Shine Chaser is a fairy. 3 for 3. That's the. Okay, I gotta start remembering these names. All these run away together. That's a new one. A 1/2. Or a 1 and a blue. Choose 2 target creatures. Controller by different players. Return those creatures to their owner's hand. So you return an opponent's creature and one of yours. Wolf's Quarry we talked about. Forgot like 7 of those. That's good. We got this. I want a bunch of these for equipment. Enchanted creature gets 2/2. Equipped creature gets 2/2. Equip on night, so 1. Equip any by 3. Foul Mire Knight is 1, Death Touch 1/1. Bake into the Pie 2, destroy target creature, create a food token. Beloved Princess, Unexplained Vision, Tomb Raider, Mystic Sanctuary. This is the blue land. Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other islands. When Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield untapped, you may put target instant or sorceries card from your graveyard on top of your library. And we get Giant Killer 1. It's 1/2. Tap target creature, destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Enchanted Carriage, we turn into a pumpkin. Dwarven Mine, 7 dwarves, that's 3 of them. Talked about that, lost. Fate of the Wishes, I think we've talked about that. Discard, fine, yeah. Oakhane Adversary, 3 and a green, get you 2/3. This spell costs 2 less to cast if an opponent controls a green permanent. Death Touch, whenever Oakhane deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Lucky Clover, it's a 2, whenever you cast an adventure, instant, or sorcery spell. Adventure, instant, or sorcery spell. Copy it. You may choose different targets. That's for your adventure. This right here, this one, target opponent discards 2 cards. You may choose a new target, so you could pop that and make them do it twice. We've talked about all those. Yes, 2 of my Pipers. So we need one, at least one more. It'd be nice if we get 2 more, but I doubt we'll get it with only 3 packs left to open. Red Cap, Guild Mother, or Guide Mother. Grimrock Knight, Swords. Yeah, we talked about that. I remember the art. Paladin. Moonlit Scavenger. When Moonlit Scavenger enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact gem, it return target creature and opponent controls to their own hand. I think we talked about that. Midnight Clock. We talked about that one. Venerable Knight. Paladin. Carver. Silver Flame Squire. Yes, yeah. Jousting Dummy 2. Jousting Dummy gives +1/+0 until end of turn. 3. Mirror Maid. 1 and 2 blue. You may have Mirror Maid enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or enchantment on the battlefield. Last card. Or last pack. Spinning Wheel. Any color. Driven Treefolk, Outflank, Wolf's Quarry, Didn't Say Please, is a 1 and 2 blue. Counter target spell, its controller puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Deathless Knight, if you gain life, you bring it back. And then this one, Opportunistic Dragon, 2/2 red. Flying, when Opportunistic Dragon enters the battlefield, choose target human or artifact an opponent controls. For as long as an Opportunistic Dragon remains on the battlefield, gain control of that permanent. It loses all abilities, and it can't attack or block. So why gain control over it? It just sits there, taking up space. It just, Well, I thank you for watching. Please hit a like and subscribe, and y'all have a great day.